What's up, everybody? This is Alex with WMD, back again, hanging out with you. Today, we are going to check out the Performance Mixer, and we're going to do something a little bit different. So there's, it's a mixer. Is there a lot to do? Very soon, we're going to do a video just patching from scratch, and we're just going to fill the thing up and max it out and just kind of show you like why you really, really need this thing. But first, I have gotten so many questions and emails about using this thing with other gear that's not modular, right? So a lot of people are super into the idea of using their hardware rigs with like this mixer. You know, there aren't that many mixers out there that are just made for line level signals or just made for electronic music. All of them have preamps, EQs, and some of them lack sends and returns and things like that, and just quality in general, right? So we've gotten a lot of praise on the Performance Mixer for being a super high quality option for the Eurorack format. And a lot of people have been asking me like, hey man, can you just use this as a standalone mixer? And I was like, I have no clue. I haven't done that. What I have done is played all my Eurorack gear through it and then added like the Roland JU-06, for example, or like the Microbrute, and I've had no problems. But I haven't done anything that's just strictly hardware, you know, just like drum machines and synths and stuff like that, and also using pedals as our send and return effects. So what I have got here is exactly that, and I put it together, and honestly I couldn't be more stoked on the result. Just real quick, for a bass line, I've got the Arturia Microbrute. For my drums, I've just got a mono out of the Roland TR-8 drum machine. I've got the Roland JU-06 as my pad machine. Those are my three voices that I'm going to be using. On auxiliary 1, I've got an effects loop of the Zoom MS70 CDR micro stomp or multi stomp. I really dig that thing. It's pretty cool. It's got like, it's basically a pedal board and a pedal, you know, it's like, that's as big as it is. And you can do a bunch of stuff with it. Auxiliary send 2, I've got going to the WMD Geiger counter. So those are my two auxiliary sends. We can get some cool distortion sounds in parallel, and we can also get some cool like crazy reverb swells. One other thing I've got going on here is I've got a DD3 running into an Akai headrush. If you've ever seen me play live, or if you've ever seen the my Coffee and Riffs with Old Blood Noise, you will know that this is kind of my go-to vocal chain. So I've got a microphone running straight into just a standard XLR to quarter-inch converter, running straight into my DD3, into the Akai headrush, and into channel 6. So I'm using a channel that has a little bit of gain. It's not necessarily a mic pre, but I found that it has totally enough gain for me to use this combo, especially when I'm using hardware. So a lot of questions are, you know, can the hardware get loud enough? Do I need to use attenuators and then amplifiers when I'm using my pedals? And my answer is always just try it. You might be surprised. There's an attenuator on the aux here, right? So that's what the knob is. It's an attenuator. And you've got volume knobs on most of your pedals. So there you go. And another thing is just mix a little bit lower volume. You know, we don't need to be hitting the red line all the time. We can be going right around 0 or 6 and get really nice sounds out of this mixer. We don't need to be pushing it super hard. And when you're using modular, you can always attenuate down to the level of your hardware if that's what you need to do. So right now, I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to keep talking. But we're going to start playing some music as well as talk. So here we go. I'm going to press play. I've also got a Squart Pyramid. The Squart Pyramid is my sequencer and master clock and things like that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to press play on the Pyramid, which is going to press play on our TR-8, and bring up the level. Turn on this compressor on here, make it sound a little bit more nice, right? All right, cool. Bring in our clap. All right, so that sounds pretty good, right? And as you'll notice on my mixer here, I'm hitting right at 6 right now. So, I mean, I've definitely got quite a bit of, got enough gain. So we're just going to switch over here. All right, now let's bring in the Microbrute. So I've got gain about 3 o'clock here. One thing I do have is all the gain knobs on the actual machines are all the way up. I don't know, I always do that anyways. I never really use them if they're not turned all the way up. So there's that. And now here's my JU-06. I'll adjust the gain a little bit on this guy. Turn down my clap a little bit. All right, so there we go. There's a track, right? And now I've got the mixer on the TR-8, right? So I can take out the kick drum over here. And now let's run our pads. We're just gonna run into this reverb. So that's 100% decay, 100% mix. So it's gonna get pretty wild real quick. Now we just turn that off, bring the kick drum back in. Woo! And we can go to a different sequence on the Microbrute or on the Scarp here. Maybe get a little bit more release. Now check out this guy. We're gonna bring in the Geiger counter. All right, so that's it, man. We've got 3 different hardware instruments running into the Performance Mixer, and it's working. We've got 2 auxiliary synths that are pedals. Sounds pretty good to me. I haven't had any problems with clipping yet. My advice is always just to start with your auxes all the way down and then bring them up and make sure that you're not clipping the pedal and making the pedal sound like garbage, right? All right, and then for one last thing, we're just gonna add some vocals, so check this out. I had it running through the reverb, so I turned that down a little bit. All right, and then there's our last little texture, right? So we've got the head rush texture. So on this guy, I've got my gain just a little bit above 3 o'clock. So I'm mixing at a relatively low level, but I mean, when everything's summed together, I'm still hitting +6 on the dBu meter. So I mean, I'm golden. It sounds awesome. I've got this going out. I've got about 75% of my master knob. I'm just running out of the DB25 output, so don't be confused by the fact that there's no cables in the output, if you can see that in the other camera. Just going out of the DB25, we're just listening to the stereo mix. And then on my mixer, I've got maybe like a 10 dB boost at max on my input for my computer, on my interface, right? Okay, so now we're just gonna jam. All right, so there you have it. You can totally use the WMD Performance Mixer as a standalone unit. If you just want to grab a tiny little case, the 4MS blocks are a super good idea. I think you could probably get one that just fits this. I have no idea. I don't remember exact sizes that they have. Performance Mixer is 40 HP. So throw that into tiny little skiff. Now you've got a super compact mixer with CV control, 2 auxes, a master send and return, which I didn't get to, 6 mono channels and 2 stereo channels. The 6 mono channels have 2 inputs each. So if you've got a shit ton of gear, you can add 2 things to 1 input, or 1 channel, excuse me, and then you can switch between those or sum them. So yeah. Thanks to everyone who's sending in their ideas and suggestions for stuff that I do. If you have any more requests, I mean, I'm happy to try shit out. It's one of the most fun parts of my job. So yeah, I mean, just feel free to, if there's any pedals you want to see, any modules you want to see, or any techniques, just send us an email or comment on the video or hit us up on Instagram. Peace. Talk to you soon.